And we will watch Donovan Lachney against Jacob Hagen. Lachney currently up a game with his white-red human stack.
And if the battlefield is this cluttered, probably good news for Lachney.
Maybe. There's a key to the city out there for Jacob Hagen. That matters a little bit sometimes. But Lachney does have an always watching. I see a Thopter token. It looks like a Thalia that does have a counter on it, along with a Thalia's Lieutenant. And it looks like a pretty healthy amount of energy. So we walk into a pretty cluttered game here between Lachney and Hagen. And we'll see what the follow-up is here for Jacob. Again, do remember, Jacob did lose in the finals at the SCG Richmond Tour Stop during Season 3 a little bit earlier in the season. So this is a pretty important tournament for him. He could throw his name in the race for the Players' Championship.
Certainly.
Here's another copy of Pia. Going to get another Thopter. And going to pass the turn back. Looks like he wants to keep the Pia that's actually tapped instead of getting a new one and having it be untapped. For Donovan Lachney. Oh, well, never mind. Thalia's out there, so it doesn't matter which one you keep. Take it all back.
That foil Thalia almost looks like it has the vehicle frame on it.
Yeah, it does actually. Gonna pass the turn back. And Jacob will draw. It's an Incendiary Flow, another Incendiary Flow. To game 3 we go, as Jacob Hagen is going to tie things up here against Donovan Lachney. Red-black aggro, white-red humans getting ready for a third and final one. Going to see if this thing can get a little more aggressive here. That game looked pretty drawn out.
Well, these beatdown matchups do tend to slow down post-board. People just have access to more removal, better blockers, planeswalkers. It's rare that post-board games between beatdown decks speed up. Very frequently they slow down.
Well, we're going to take a look at the sideboards here in just a moment. And we will see that Donovan Lachney, and we've seen his sideboard a couple times this weekend. 1 Savage Alliance, 1 Skywhaler Shot, 1 Ride Down, 1 Fragmentize, 2 Blessed Alliance, 2 Chandra, Torture, Defiance, 2 Repel the Abominable, a Stasis Snare, 2 Selfless Spirit, 2 Always Watching for our #1 overall seed. What do you like and why?
I like the Stasis Snare, the copies of Blessed Alliance, and the Savage Alliance. I think are all just good creature removal spells or work well generally in combat. I like the 2 copies of Always Watching because the games are often about size. And you could also talk me into the copies of the Repel the Abominable.
For Jacob Hagen, 2 Call the Bloodline, 4 Galvanic Bombardment, 2 Kalitas Trader of Get, 2 Lightning Axe, a Reckless Bushwhacker, and then 4 copies of Transgress the Mind.
Great sideboard for the matchup here. Love the Kalitases, the Lightning Axes, the Galvanic Bombardments. I think Lachney's threats are probably too big to go to Call the Bloodline, so I would not go to that one, but the removal spells and the Kalitas seem like a great sideboard for this matchup.
Well, you do see the options there for both players. They'll shuffle up and get ready again. We'll be moving on to the semifinals pretty quick. Our 2 matches already done. We've got to figure out how Chris Van Meter and Jacob Ball are doing when we do have the chance. Of course, we will let you know. We know that CVM is currently up a game. But while we wait, we're going to talk about SCG Game Night, the very popular promotion, where this month, and October did just begin, so you can get out to your local store and win some pins and tokens of old Hedgehogahog.
You can head over to go.sarcgames.com/game night and find out more information about Game Night. Every month we generate new kits with pins and tokens we send out to the stores. Stores can then run Game Night however they want to, any day of the week, any format you want. Just get players in the store on a regular basis for some fun and friendly magic. This is the October kit. It's October 2nd, so you're playing for this now. It's Hedgehogahog. We have the rest of the year rolled out here with November and Mole Warden, and then announced for the first time this weekend in December, Fintuition. Go.sarcgames.com/game night. Find out more information and stores. If you want to get signed up for Game Night, contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
Patrick, I just received a tweet. Told me to go back to the Flagtown NJ page.
That stuff gets pulled down so fast. It's easy to put stuff up on Wikipedia.
You are now a notable person.
That's going to get pulled down very quickly, don't worry.
Patrick Sullivan, professional Magic the Gathering player, Star City Open announcer, that's wrong. SCG Tour announcer, get the branding right. And game designer.
Don't worry. It'll be pulled down.
I wanted pulled down with poor branding.
I don't really know how closely Wikipedia is monitoring the high traffic Flagtown, New Jersey.
Yeah, I was
Wikipedia
curious
page.
about how quickly this would get in the queue.
But that'll get pulled. Don't worry. Especially because the link just links to not just a pile of Patrick Sullivan's. It's a pretty common name.
Congratulations, man. You're on
Yeah.
Wikipedia.
Yep.
What's next? The blue check mark on Twitter?
I don't know. I don't know what the process. I see it's starting to. Some Magic players are starting to get verified. I don't know what the metrics are or whatever. But I'm not gonna ask. It's not like there's all these rampant fake Patrick Sullivan accounts posting awesome things all the time. You know. So what do I care?
That's not me.
Yeah,
That's somebody else.
right.
Looks like Donovan going to take a mulligan here. Jacob giving his hand a little bit of a look over. We'll see. You got to get that blue check, son.
No, I don't.
It's not really a big deal. Yeah, it's not really a big deal.
I don't ever want to be in a position in my life where I care about something like that.
The blue check?
If it happens, it'll be totally random, and if it doesn't, that's probably correct.
Yep. Probably true. Yeah, you have to fill out a form to become verified. I know this because I did.
Yeah, I can't imagine spending 30 seconds on that.
Yeah.
As an allocation of time.
I did, and then I got denied.
Okay.
I got denied.
Whew. Tough all over.
Because there's a lot of me's out there. So there's just a lot of really loud people tweeting about Magic, wrestling, and the NBA. Food. And my love
music.
of pop punk music.
Pop punk music.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
There
an
has
imposter.
to be quite a few fake accounts. I don't know. It'll happen or it doesn't.
Yeah. You'll be totally fine.
Yeah.
A smuggler's copter here for Donovan. We're going to head back over to Jacob. He started things off with a Bomat Courier. He's got Aether Hub as land number 2. Just got to figure out how he wants to move forward here. He's got Scrapheap Scrounger, Smuggler's Copter, a lot of options here for Jacob Hagen.
I'm curious how Hagen is making room for these cards, assuming that he brought in the 8 that I predicted. Because usually in these matchups, you want to get the small stuff out of your deck first, the stuff that just dies. But if you've got Bomat Courier still in, then it's less clear to me where he's found space for all these removal spells.
Pretty straightforward, man. Cut the lands.
Yep.
Yeah. Just
go down to 15.
There you go.
You're on the draw, you know.
Chris Van Meter won his match 2-0 over Jacob Ball. So CVM through to the semis, looking for that 5th SCG Tour Open win out of the booth into the tournament. Doing well.
Good to have him back.
Yes, sir. The Scrounger is here for Jacob Hagen. Now we go over to Donovan. He's got an Inventor's Apprentice, played an Aether Hub, so he got an energy. And now the Copter. Bang. Flying through. Draw and discard. Goodbye, Inspiring Vantage. Could be time for Athalia's Lieutenant as well. Maybe. Donovan's certainly thinking about it. And it looks like he will head that way. So counter there on the Inventor's Apprentice, making it a 3-4. Now we head over to Jacob Hagen. He'll draw a card. Key to the City is in there. They also got 2 copies of Unlicensed Disintegration. Hiya, comes the Scrounger. Bomat Courier is going to hang out on D.
And it looks like Hagen's hand pretty loaded here with 3s. If he can block out of this turn, I think it starts getting very, very good, especially with multiple copies of Unlicensed Disintegration.
Well, he does have a land to play there in Foreboding Ruins. So now we're going to head back over to Donovan.
We've been watching a lot of Urborg Volcanoes this weekend. We have seen 4 to 8 in a lot of lists.
Your favorite, isn't it?
Yep.
Beatdowns. Copter trigger. Curious to see if Hagen's going to try to block or not.
I would imagine so. He is kind of in a position where it's good for him to play defense with so many removal spells in his hand.
He actually just needs to be able to cast those, I think. Maybe not. He says he's going to take it. I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah, my instinct would have been to block, but it depends. You know, if Hagen feels like if he finds a fiery temper, the ceiling's just so high, and he wants to keep his discard outlet in play, I get that.
Scrounger the draw. Go along with Key to the City. 2 Unlicensed Disintegration, also in hand here for Jacob.
My instinct here, if I'm in Hagen's seat, is just his hand feels so good that all I want to do is extend the length of the game.
Just want to make sure I can cast the spells.
Yep. Feels very unlikely Hagen loses this game having cast all the spells in his hand.
Here's Harness Lightning. That'll take care of Smuggler's Copter. Here comes the Scrounger because, you know, that thing doesn't block.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's time to pass, I believe. I like casting Disintegration this turn if you can. Might also let you kind of pivot and start winning the race.
And you kind of want to get the 3s out of your hand, too, because the cheaper stuff, if you draw land number 4, you can play a 3 and a 1. If you dump out all your 1s, then there's no way for you to get to a spot to cast multiple spells in a turn.
Hey, I'm thinking this one through quite a bit, because he also has Bomat Courier and another Scrounger, so he could just play the 2 creatures and pass the turn back. I'm not sure how attractive that option is, though.
Yeah, I really just like casting one of the 3s this turn. Just try to play the game in such a way where you can get everything out of your hand. Playing a 3 here gives you the most opportunities to be able to play multiple spells down the line by getting to 4 mana and then being able to cast a 3 and a 1.
All right, just going to pass. Leave up Disintegration. I like this line.
Yep.
Beatdowns. Actually, excuse me. Crewing. Then beatdowns will come. But first, Unlicensed Disintegration. I have to imagine going after the Copter. And it is. So Donovan will take 3. He's going to fall down to 9. Harness Lightning, Aether Hub in hand.
Plus Needle Spire down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lachney maybe wanted to loot away that land. It is possible he would have been better served just playing land number 5, so in the event this happened, he could animate Needle Spire with his turn. He still may want to cast Harness Lightning this turn instead of activating the Needle Spire, but it feels close to me. I think it's very optimistic to think that you are going to get to attack with your Smuggler's Copter there, with Hagen missing land drops and being in the tank forever on his turn and then eventually saying go.
Yep. Nothing over here. All right. We built this city. Gonna make the Scrounger unblockable. In for 3, no blocks to be had here. Harness Lightning will work, though. All right, that'll take care of the Scrounger. Temporarily put it in the graveyard. Let's say that. Follow-up. The Inventor's Apprentice, which is a 2/3. Plenty of artifacts out there for Jacob. And now we're gonna head back over to Donovan. The Handweir Garrison trigger put a counter onto the Thais Lieutenant with the potential for it to grow very large next turn if there's an attack. He's just going to pass the turn back now, though. Jacob Hagen will draw. Found a mountain.
Hagen looks like he's doing well in the short game and also close to gassing back up with the Bomac Courier in the event the game goes long.
Hagen thinking quite a bit. Again, has unlicensed disintegration. There's, I'm sure, a little bit of a thought of maybe I want to break this Bomac Courier. Maybe I want to get back the Scrounger. How do I want to use Key to the City? There's a lot to weigh here. I think he's in pretty good position. I think the disintegration certainly does help here.
I mean, he has the line here, if he wants it, of disintegration probably on the Garrison, play land number 4, Key to the City and make something unblockable, connect, and then gas up. It's a very attractive line, especially because in the course of doing this, he can put the Scrounger into the graveyard if he so chooses, and then he's got a lot of resources to work with almost no matter what he draws off the Courier.
Yep.
Plus, his Key to the City is then tapped. And that's another card if he wants it, depending on what he finds off of the Bomac Courier.
Some pretty attractive lines here.
And he gets him to 5. I mean, this is in the process, too, and still has Key to the City. So,
all right, Key to the City is going to go active. Scrounger down. Bomac Courier unblockable. Bang.
yeah, I think this is to get one more card.
Okay.
So now he can play the land, play the unlicensed disintegration. Yep.
It's a tough one.
And now he has the red mana left over to sack the Bomac Courier and draw 3.
Yep. Let's take a look at Bomac Courier. Pretty nice little card here. Looking pretty good.
It's done a lot. It's been an artifact in spots where he's an artifact, dealt some damage. It's going to be an Ancestral Recall now.
Yeah, you exile the top card of your library face down. You don't get to look at it, so you don't know what you're going to be getting. And then you discard your hand, sacrifice Bomac Courier, so a little bit of a madness outlet. Put all cards exiled from Bomac Courier into their owner's hands. Now it looks like the draw was Declaration in Stone. Going to go after the Inventor's Apprentice. That's going to work. Clue on the way. Yep, and now you're going to get that. Unlicensed Disintegration will take care of the Hanaware battlements. Hadamil, Garrison, excuse me. The battlements is the land. Here comes the attack. There's an attack for 4. Yeah, exactly 4. No artifact over there for Donovan. So Jacob going to fall down to 7. Time to cash in. Anything change now?
It feels like it's time to cash in, especially with a clue in play. I would put a premium on mana efficiency over trying to extract the extra card.
Or maybe the extra point of damage.
Also true. He has so many things to do with his mana right now because he's got the Scroungers in his graveyard on top of having a clue. So I would put a premium on just being mana efficient right now.
Well, he's going to draw a card to start.
I mean, if Lachney has land number 5, he has lethal on the battlefield right now.
Scrounger. Pass. Okay.
I mean, now he's just down a turn of having all those cards in his hand.
Yeah, those turn, kind of those options. But still has that available to him.
And I suppose if Lachney attacks with everything, Hagen can just chump block, assuming he fires up the Needle Spire and attacks. Hagen can just chump block with the Bomac Courier, get back the Scrounger, and crack back for lethal.
Yeah.
So that line of play is not on the table right now. But Hagen didn't know that going into the turn.
Correct. Correct.
Because the card he drew that turn was the Scrapyard Scrounger. Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Clue from the Thamer Inspector, but also a counter on the values of Tenant. Coming on in with a 3/3.
I think Lachney needs to err on the side of attacking, even if it's a little bit risky, because of Key to the City, he's not really in a position to block effectively, so he's just got to err on the side of attacking.
Okay. Kind of being forced here because of how powerful Key to the City is. Bomat Courier is going to block. There's an activation, so 3 cards.
Not even going to take a look.
What's it matter, huh?
He can look now. It's not like you can't look at him for the whole game.
Yeah, he can look. They're in
now
his
you're
hand
allowed
now.
to look.
They're in his hand. He can look at him. There's a hub. More energy. Pass. All right, let's look. Unlicensed Disintegration is in there. That spells game over, most likely.
That should do it. I mean, he can go ahead here and Key to the City, go for the kill.
Discard there. Hiya. Put you to 2. Unlicensed Disintegration right there. That is going to do it. Jacon Hagen's going to win this match here over Donovan Lachney. 2-1. Red-Black Aggro going to take care of White-Red Humans. And for the finalist at SCG Richmond a handful of weekends ago, he's a semifinalist here in Indianapolis, and he might be headed to the finals yet again.
I think the Red-Black deck has a slight edge in this kind of matchup.